that has been watching the videos, that also been subscribing, and I'm grateful that, a lot of the content that I've been sharing has been helping you out. I was just thinking sometimes life can feel lonely, and it's kind of cool to meet a lot of new people that's just kind of been maybe struggling or stuck, but needed some type of understanding about themselves or motivation or inspiration. And I'm just grateful, man, to do what I love doing, and grateful to really be my higher self. And speaking of higher self, I'm sharing some of my studies today. So this is the one thing you can't hide. And these are really deep teachings of Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher, legends, in their own right. So, what is the one thing that you can't hide? And of course, if anything speaks to you, as always, if you feel like you really need some help in life and you want to change and just grow, whether it's money or milestones or whatever you want to achieve, your business, whatever, reach out to me. All right. My call link's in the description of this post and maybe in the comments as well. Just schedule a free call. So, knowledge properly applied is power. This is so good because a lot of people think knowledge is power and it's not. I had to kind of have an awakening, and you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're not applying it or taking action with it, there's no power there. It's just potential power, right? So when you take specialized knowledge and appropriately applied, meaning you're taking inspired action, that's when things start to change for you. So the degree of a person's ignorance will determine their place in the world. So ignorance is simply not knowing. Some people don't know what a paradigm is. Some people don't know what praxis is. Some people's vocabulary, I'm growing my vocabulary. We'll talk about that. Irksome. You ever heard of that word before? Indeligibly. Have you ever heard of that word before? What's another word that I was studying? Uh, Vexus, I think. So anyway, so if you don't know about yourself and the laws of our being and the difference between conscious and subconscious, your own mindset, you're just kind of operating um, not from a full potential, and we are unlimited beings, and we can tap into that every day of our lives for the rest of our lives. What's up, everybody? I see a couple people here live, so hopefully this is helping you today. So listen to this. For a time, everyone is born ignorant and must for a time live in ignorance. But remember this: anyone who remains ignorant has only themselves to blame. I was like, whoa, that was kind of offensive when I read that. So essentially, we don't know certain things. We're not taught about our mental faculties, especially in education systems. We're not taught about how to use our imagination effectively. We're not taught about our reasoning factor, our intuition, the power of our will, memory, stuff like that. And that's ignorance. It's just simply not knowing what we can do with these things in our lives. And if we remain not knowing about who we are, it's only ourselves to blame. And taking responsibility for your life, trust me, I there are times I didn't want to do that, is the key to freedom, responsibility. So we do control where we will live between the very top and the very bottom in our lives. We control where we live on a societal state. And you can easily neglect it and just go on with your day, and one day turns to week turns to months, and months turn to years, and you look up at your life and you're like, what did I really do in my life, right? So from here we can live well and successfully all the days of our lives. So the more you improve yourself, the more you apply knowledge, and take inspired action. You don't have to hustle. I come from that hustle mentality where you work hard and you burn out. So one of the most important ladders leading to the top is knowledge. The more we know, the higher we can move. So not only the more we know, but the more we apply what we know. So a person should begin. This is key here. I'm gonna give you some nuggets. This is can make you millions of dollars. So a person should begin with the study of their language and then to their general area of interest. Two steps in that order that can move us high on the so-called pyramid of life, right? So, and of course, when you're moving higher in your life, it's not to be above anybody and look down on people. Never do that, right? It's not to say, "Oh, look at my car and look at my house." I show this to inspire people because I did not think I could be sitting here. And this is why I film here sometime and I like the light coming through the window. So the point is, it's never to be above anyone to improve yourself, but it's most important to live the life that you want, that you been abundance is our birthright. So you've been born for this with its capabilities. So um yeah, awesome. So to continue here, am I able to do that? Let me see. Let's see what happens. Let's see. There you go. I think that's good. All right. And that's a good sign. I'll address that here on the live. Whenever you start seeing negative comments, that's a good sign from the universe, you know. And my mentor Bob Proctor, he mentioned, people that go against the grain and put themselves out there publicly are mental giants. You have to receive graciously, willing to graciously receive and willing to give. And that means you're going in the right direction when you start seeing negativity. And those are people that are lost usually. They're unhappy with themselves and they need this even more. So don't worry, that person that left something negative, I didn't block you entirely. You're just on timeout right now. Okay. So yeah, shout out to the people, that this is helping, That's why I'm here. So the amount of money we will earn during our lives, right, is determined based on the applied knowledge that we um, receive and apply. So our use of the language is the one thing we can't hide. I like this. One of my clients is texting me. Hold on. Awesome. Okay. So listen to that. Our use of the language is the one thing we can't hide. You ever heard somebody start speaking like they look intelligent or look wealthy or so-called important, and then they start talking, and then you hear something different? So that's what we're getting at here. Um, he says a person may dress in the latest fashion and present a very attractive appearance. Right? I could have put on my suit and tie in this camera, and dress shirt and all that, but I didn't. Right? So far, and it's funny how people pick up as if I'm unintelligent if I don't wear a tie or my glasses. Isn't that crazy? It's just profiling in a way. So far, irksome. I'm using new words. Irksome. That's irksome. So a person may dress in the latest fashion and present a very attractive appearance. So far, so good. But the minute that person opens their mouth and begins to speak, they proclaim to the world their level on the so called pyramid of life. Right? Isn't that amazing? Shaw's play Pygmalion, later adapted into the musical comedy My Fair Lady, is an extreme example of what I'm talking about. So check that out, and you kind of use that as a reference to what I'm sharing here. And shout out to Kevin Art. Got the crown, my friend. I'm not sure what that means on YouTube Live, but you got it. And thanks for tuning in. And congrats. So, without exception, those who scored highest on the vocabulary test were in the top income group, while those who scored lowest were in the lowest income group. So this is important. Basically, you want more money in your life, you would have to, the correlation of your vocabulary and the income you receive is massive. So pay very close attention to this and apply it. Just expand your knowledge, right? So knowledge of the exact meanings of a large number of words accompanies outstanding success. There's tons of studies here, all through this. And I'm not going in depth, but tons of studies here. So, an encouraging fact to keep in mind, Clark went on to say, is that when you master one word, we find that we've added several other words. This is good. So, it's as if the new one is a nucleus of thought around which whirl numerous related ideas that we now come to understand. So, deliberately learning 10 new words we pick up probably 90 more almost without realizing. So that's your mind expanding, right? So, and also your income. Like, who doesn't want more money, right? So, literally, millions of people are being held back. Millions of people being held back in life simply because they've never taken the time to learn their own language. I don't know what that is. It wants me to do a Q&A sticker. So, and how about this for a Q&A? I don't want to type all that right now I'm live, but ask yourself, how do you rate yourself with your own vocabulary in your own language? Excellent, meaning you have a excellent vocabulary, you have these words that no one's ever heard of, etc. Good, you rate yourself as good, fair, or poor. This is helping you kind of see yourself with your vocabulary in your own language. And this determines your income. There's a huge correlation there. So a person's knowledge and their language go together, right? It's almost impossible for one to be larger than the other. So improve your vocabulary, plain and simple. The more you improve it, the more you improve your life financially. Okay. So if you think you don't have time to study, listen to what Lois Shores has to say about this. So for all those, I don't have time to learn my language and increase my vocabulary, right? Each of us must find their own 15-minute period each day for reading. It's best if it's regular. The only requirement is the will to read. You must be willing to improve yourself. So with it, you can find 15 minutes no matter how busy the day, right? So all of us have excuses about the time that we have, but life is basically how you manage your time or manage your activities, right? So that means you will read half a book a week, 2 books a month, 20 a year, and 1,000 in a reading lifetime. So it's an easy way to become well read. So just 15 minutes a day. And what do you think I'm doing right now? I'm just reading like highlights and expressing my knowledge with them, right? So I read a lot. I didn't used to read as much as I do now, but I read a lot because I know the value of it. So our general interests. Now, this is the second area of study. First, it's basically increasing your vocabulary and knowing the meaning of the words in your own language. Very key to your future. All right. Second is the second area of study is your general interest. So what is your general interest? What are you interested in life, in industry, right? One of my clients loves trading. She just texted me. She's expanding her knowledge in trading and investing. Another one of my clients, he's a famous Afrobeat drummer, world class, and he's running his own Afrobeat. What do you call it? Online school, and he's doing some awesome podcasts and stuff like that, and he's doing it. He's legendary. And another one of my clients, he's running like an online IT business, so he's getting that off the ground as well. So, what is your general area of interest? Another one, he's doing like his own company where he's um he's a speaker. He's working to be a global speaker, helping people basically fight addiction. And he recovered. He's clean, and he's impacting a lot of people. So I'm so happy to be a part of these journeys. So our general interests, right? What are you interested in? So, we should begin a systematic study of the field which interests us most. A systematic study. So, don't just do this here and there, have a system about what you're learning about. And that's what I did with personal growth and personal development. I never stopped learning about myself. And I'm learning so much about who I am and in connection to everything outside of me. It's so powerful. So, really, books are basically an investment. A lot of people, they're not an expense. When you're paying for books, whether it's audiobooks or physical books, I can show you all the books I have here, and you usually see the videos in my office. I invested in myself tremendously, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I'll never stop because I know who I'm becoming and who I am. So the person who knows where they're going, this is big, and who's made up their mind to get there. So, do you know where you're going in your life? Do you know what you really want right now? And listen to this, and made up their mind to get there. This is the power of decision. You have to make clear decisions, committed decisions in life. Otherwise, you keep getting the same results. I talk to so many people that don't make clear decisions and they're in the same place. So, the person who does is going to make the grade, basically. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence and determination. So, where does you won't have persistence and determination unless you make a true decision. Persistence comes naturally because you're driven for a desire, and desire is unexpressed potential from within. Desire is actually energy or spirit telling you that you are able and capable of achieving that thing. You wouldn't desire something if you weren't able to achieve it. I did not know these things, but I know them now because I never stopped learning and I never gave up on myself. So, listen to this. In determination, you become determined when you decide. You know how many people act with indecision? Indecision is making a decision not to decide. So you'll go back and forth with your own dreams. You go back and forth. You get motivated because you are right now because you're listening to me, and you get inspired. But guess what? That fizzles out, my friend. Why? Because you didn't make a decision. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I am. So pick the place on the pyramid you're going to shoot for and start climbing. So what he means by pyramid, it's a societal pyramid. So there's different levels of it. I can show a screenshot, but I'm just kind of talking here. And you got to kind of find out where you want to be in your life, you know. And there's a random cat running around out here in the rain. So you have to kind of figure out where you want to be in your life and picture that. You want a big house, you want a fancy cars, you want to travel with your family, you want to eat at restaurants, buy gifts for them, afford your mortgage and rent with ease. What do you want to do with your life, right? So, and how do you start climbing? Advance your vocabulary, and you want a systematic study of your area of interest, and also personal development. Basically, what I love doing is helping people become better and make more money and have be healthier, happier, and wealthier. But it's our own limiting selves that hold us back every day. So first, remember, you want to, with our language, you want to study and expand your vocabulary. And next, with our general area of interest, right? So, to a surprising extent, our ability to use our language and the extent of our vocabulary will determine our outcome and our future. So, and at the bottom here, it says, in my personal notes, I say learn at least 5 new words a week. And that's a goal that I set for myself that I did not keep up with. I'll be honest right here on camera. It says it's estimated that the average person adds only 5 new words a year to their vocabulary. That's not nearly enough for this day and age. We should add that many a week, many popular men, etc. So finally, realizing that graduating, this is good, and I'll close with this. Finally, realize that graduating from school is just the beginning, the commencement of our days and years of learning. For with wisdom will come kindness, patience, love, understanding, and success as a person. It's never too late to begin. So, and speaking of begin, commencement doesn't mean the end. I was so happy when I finally graduated from college and high school and etc. Look at this cat. Can I? Oh, I can't flip the camera. And when I graduated, I thought it was the end, but it was the beginning. It was the beginning of me. And it's never too late to begin the life you really want and stop playing small and being limited and letting the outside world and your current circumstances shape where you are. I was that person. No longer. I'm creating my life. I love it. And you can eh, you can tap into your whatever you want, your marvelous mind. And speaking of mind, wow. Look up JB Ryan. He was one of the he'd done most of the more study on the mind than anyone in the world. And he talks about the power of the mind. So anyway, I'm out of here. Shout out to everybody that was live with me. Wow, I talked for 20 minutes straight. That's amazing. Kevin Art, you got the crown. I think you're still here. I saw a couple other people jump in. Next time, feel free to drop a comment or something. I really hope this helped. Don't let this just be inspiration or motivation. Reach out to me. Let's talk about your future and see if I can help. All right. Much success, many blessings. Pick where you want to be in your life and take action, man. This is for real. Life is short. All right, bye everybody. Have a great one.